And now none of these guys get to be in the
That's
game.
like the kid in high school where say you're sitting in science, and
Hey, you didn't give us homework
you
today.
got
you
the
didn't check the homework.
Yep, you got the teacher.
No way.
Yeah, you got the teacher rolling on some subject that he's going to spend 10 minutes on. And there's 8 minutes left of class, and the one person's like, "Are you going to collect the homework today?"
Speaking of that, to go the exact opposite, I had the ability. We had a math teacher who was a big baseball.
Just
golf
get him
guy.
going.
I had the ability to get him to talk for infinite amount of time. It didn't matter when, at any given day. Yeah. So one day, every day I wanted to do it. You know what I mean? Like, he was a great guy. Every day I'd want to talk about BS with him. But one day, and I don't know why it was this day of all days, we had 3 or 4 really smart kids in the front right of our class who were those epitome of those kids. You know what I mean? And they looked at me and they were like, "Connor, we don't want to do work today. How long can you get him to not focus on math?" And I said, "Challenge accepted." And so this happened.
How long is this class?
This happened 2 separate times. And I'm not kidding you. So I said, "Mr. Laser, I got a quick question for you. I got to stop you." And he goes, "What's that?" I was like, "Man, I went golfing the other day. And every ball I hit, just terrible slice. And I think it stems from a baseball swing."
Yeah.
And he goes, "Well, what do you work with? Let's see it." And I'm like dry swinging over there. I like stand up, like I'm dry swinging. And he's sitting here and he's like, "We're in high school. This is like my senior year or junior year." Okay. And so like I'm like talking to him about swinging, telling him what's happening. It hits minute 25, and he goes, "Mr. Clack,
you got to go for 20."
He goes, "No, listen to this." He goes, "Mr. Clack, you're doing this on purpose. You don't want to worry about math." And I was like, "No, Mr. Leisure, I'd never do that. I truly was just trying to get the end." He's like, "You know what? I'm going to keep going." And then he kept going. And it was the entire class. We literally had like 8 minutes left. And he this was his typical thing. If we were ever like getting ready to start another problem, we had like 10 minutes left. Sometimes we would get too in-depth on that problem. He would just be like, we'll save it for tomorrow. We'll wrap up early today. So we had like 10 minutes left. And he goes, "You know what? Not even worth opening our books, boys." Just shuts the book. He's like, "All right." And then he kept talking to me the entire class period. And it happened. So this happened one. Yeah, they're like 50 minutes to an hour, and this happened one other time, and this is a great story too. So my buddy and I had learned a fake magic trick called black magic. Don't know if you guys have ever heard the game. But so like I would leave the room, and you could tell my buddy a color of an object, and in what guess you want us to get it. The guess cannot be 0 or 1.
Okay.
That makes sense?
Yeah.
So, like, you can say, like, I would leave the room and you'd be like, "Hey, Jordan, have him guess the color of that picture frame over there on that wall." And it would be like, light brown. Right. And so I'd be like, "You want me to get him to guess light brown? How many tries?" And he'd be like, "In 7 tries." And I'm like, 7 tries, light brown, you got it. He would come back in, la, 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 cocky as ever because he knows he's going to get it. Yeah. And then you'd be like, "Is it the color of the wall?" And he'd be like, "No, it's not." And you do that, and then the 7th time, and he'd be like, "It's the color of that picture frame." Yes. And for some reason, my teacher and all of my classmates who didn't know about it thought it was the coolest thing in the world.
I still don't understand it.
Yeah,
that's because I haven't told you guys how it works.
Okay.
Like, I could go do it right now, and like I'd get it.
Okay.
And so all he knew is that the game was black magic, and that's how it was played.
Okay.
And so it happened for an entire like 2 or 3 straight class periods where he was adamant that he was going to set aside 30 minutes every day, and he was going to figure out how black magic worked.
Yeah.
And he got like super into it. He's like so we never used to go outside. Like we would just like close our eyes and like point and give a number, right?
Yeah.
And then finally he's like, "You know what? I want one of you guys to leave the room. I just want one of you guys to leave. Just get out of here." And like trying to stump us. Yeah. And it like got super. And then finally it got to the point where he's like, "All right, well, you guys just tell me so I can like stop doing this every day." And like so we had to explain to him what we were doing, and he was like, "That's so stupid."
So how'd you do it? Okay,
so how black magic works is it's going to be you're going to pick random shit around the room. Yeah. For the first. Let's say it's 7. You want me to guess, blue on 7. For the first 5, I'm just going to say, is it this, and not allow it to be blue or black the entire time. And then on the 6th one, I'm going to choose something black, and that's the telltale sign that the next one's the right color.
But how does that person know that?
Because you choose black.
Oh.
So I'm like, is your shirt?
So
is your shirt it? And you'd be like, no, but that's
the
black.
Next one is the thing.
Yeah, that's what's called black magic.
Dumb.
Super simple. Do you get it?
So dumb.
I don't.
Okay, so let's put it to test.
Let's say me and Connor are playing.
I'm going to say blue vase on 4.
Okay, but who are you saying that to?
like you would have told me that, and now he doesn't know that, and so I would be like, and Jay would have his ears closed or whatever, and you would say, I want blue and 4. Jay has no idea what one I'm gonna be like. I'm gonna be like, Jay, is it the color of the wall? You'd say no. I'd be like, is it the color of, Chad's shirt? And you'd be like, no. I'd be like, is it the color of your shirt? You'd be like, no. This one's black, so that means you know what's next. Is it the color of that vase? And you'd be like, yes, it is. It is that color of that vase. And then they would be like, how do you know?
I see.
And it went over and over and over because the telltale sign is black.
Right,
so you choose an object that is black, and then you know the next one is the right color. And no one would ever get it just because that's not what you think of when you're thinking of the game. And so it's just one of those.
Yeah, you're not paying attention to that, like as you're going through it.
Yep.
That's funny.
And we had them for I'm not getting you 3 and 2. You still don't get it. Do
I
you?
still don't.
Okay, so hold on. You want me to choose the color of your pants, right? The blue.
Let's reenact it right here. Let's reenact right here.
3 guesses.
Okay.
Is it the color of Chad's shirt?
So I left the room?
Yes.
I don't see how black has anything to do with it.
Who left the room?
And how many guesses?
Doesn't matter.
4.
Okay.
Is his shirt? Color of a shirt?
Wait, I'm the one who has left the room.
Correct.
So how do I know what color you?
Neither of you get it. Leave the room. It would only be Chad and I. Chad would tell me a random color around the room that he wants me to guess. And then how many turns? You would never know.
Yeah.
Right.
Right?
So I'm thinking I want Connor to guess the color of the door handle, and it's
Beautiful.
and it's light brown.
Okay.
So I'm gonna say
And how many tries?
6.
Okay. So
I'm gonna give you 6 tries to guess the color of the door handle.
No,
light brown.
I'm gonna get it on the 6th try.
Okay, you're gonna get.
No, I get 6 tries.
So I'm
get
gonna
it on
say
the 6th
you're
try.
gonna get the color I'm thinking of on the 6th try.
Correct.
Okay.
So now for the first 4, I'm going to choose any random object
Right.
to the person who was outside and is now sitting back down next to me, who also understands the game. And I'm going to say for the first 4, I'm going to say, is it this color to something that's not the color of the door handle and not black?
Right.
Okay.
Anything else.
Then on the 5th
And
try,
then on
you're
the
gonna pick
5th, I'm
something
going
that
to
is
choose something
black.
that is black.
Okay.
So the moment I choose something that's black, you're going to be like,
The next one
one's
is
it.
the right one.
So I'm going to say no to this one. And then on that 6th try, I'm going to say, is it the color of that door handle? And you'd say yes. And they'd be like, how the fuck does he know?
Yeah.
And then I'd be like, well,
Okay, I see what you're saying. I see what you're saying.
and that's why it's called
So
black magic.
so Jordan's trying to guess what it is.
Correct.
Okay, that's
And he would have
what
left the
was
room.
lost. I thought you were trying to guess what it is. I'm like, what does black have? But you're just cueing to him.
I'm cueing to him.
Okay, I see.
What's next? And so that had my math teacher.
That took a long time.
I'm not kidding. I had my math teacher rolling for 3 days, and it was like Danielle and I, my buddy Christian and I. We had a group of 4 that knew how to do it, and we were like, you want to get us all 3 to guess different ones? Like we were playing games, and finally he just got to the point where he's like, all right, you know what? I'm done. I need you to just go ahead and tell me how to do it because it's stumpy. And then the best part is he would play it with other groups that didn't know how to do it. My class peer knew how to do it, He would start playing with other class peers to mess with them. He thought it was so cool.
He wanted to be on the.
He's also the guy that caught me watching the Yankee game on my phone, and I really thought he was going to rip me a new one because he was super strict about being on your phone.
Yeah.
And I just got done with a little homework assignment. And I was watching it on my phone, on MLB TV, thinking I was all shy, right? And I had my head, the typical hand on your head, I go to sleep in, blocked it with the notebook, so it's right there.
Right.
I'm done. He walks right up to me, and I'm just like, oh, I love you. Please don't kill me, because all I had been. This was early in my days with Mr. I didn't know him for a couple days, right? That's all we knew. This was early in the year, and all I have heard was from other people I know is that you don't. One thing you can't do is you don't disrespect them and you don't have your phone out. Those are the only 2 rules. And so I broke both of them in day 3, right? And he comes up to me and he looks at me right in the face and I'm just like, oh no. He goes, what's the score to the Rockies game? And I go, let me tell you. I pull it up real quick, tell him, and he goes, don't let it happen again. And I walked away from me and I remember being like, hell yeah. Mr. Leisure likes me. Let's go. We're not in the doghouse.
What grade was this?
That would have been sophomore year.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, sophomore year is when I would have started having. He's my favorite teacher. He was the epitome of a grandpa. He was the guy that the day we graduated, I was number 8 in my class, I think. Mm-hmm. So like the honor system, you know, you have the first 10 people like sit right there and they all get the sash or whatever. Yeah. I was 8. We picked him to be our guest speaker. You get to pick like one teacher to be your speaker, right? Oh, okay. And so we picked it to be him. And I'll never forget, like he like got done with like he was like talking and brought up a couple kids in his speech, and then he's like, "Yeah, but nothing beats some of these kids," and like name my name, and then he did double chest bump and pointed at me, and I remember just being like, "Yeah, let's go, that's me." I thought I was like the coolest kid in the entire world. It's my math teacher, pointed at me on graduation day. But yeah, he was. We had great times in that class for sure. We also had the Mr. Riggs story that I told you about, right? I told you about the guy who quit. I remember. Oh, yeah. Yeah, we were some bad kids. Like, I mean, this one actually really wasn't me. Have I ever told you the Mr. Riggs story?
I don't know.
Okay, so we have my freshman English is just, it's linguistics dumbed down. Like, we would literally do 10 prefixes a week. You just had to memorize the 10 prefixes. That's it. So it was the easiest thing in the entire world.
Right.
Anyone could literally pass this class. And we had a guy who had... So he had the epitome. So I just got to describe him to you because you'll know this guy, right? He had pretty shallow hair up top. He always had a couple alfalfas up in the dead middle in the back. He had a comb over. He had a nice burly mustache, no other facial hair, and he talked like this, really monotone the entire time, and you could tell he was bored of the own shit he was talking about, right? like he hated it. He was like, and today we're going to learn about prefixes. Does anyone want to know what pre means? No one's going to raise their hand. It stands for before. That will be on your test next week. Yeah. Like that all day long. Everyone hated his class. So we were terrible. And, well, I shouldn't say we. There was a group of kids my age that were terrible. And they used to play this game called the ceiling game. And our ceiling had this, like ceiling tiles, Yeah. And they had random dots all over them. But they were all, like, symmetrical. But there were so many dots in each one.
Right.
And we had the ceiling game of, at a certain time and a certain part of the day when you're in his class, So it'd be like at 1:15, everyone's just going to stop listening to him. Everyone in the entire class is going to look up and count the dots on the ceiling during the middle of lecture. So,
like, noticeably stop, and
everyone just... And he would be like, "Hey, what's everyone doing? What's on the ceiling?" For days, no one ever told them. They just did it, and they would get like 5 minutes to do it, and there's so many dots, so no one's ever going to count them in enough time, right? And so it was like something that we'd do every day, and this happened all the time. That was one thing that really pissed them off. We would do that. It didn't matter what was going on for that day. One day people would cuss him out. One day, one kid one kid was such a troublemaker that they put him in the back of the classroom by himself in his own desk, like literally like 10 feet away from everyone else. One day, that kid just got up, grabbed every book off of his shelf, and started piling them in a square around him. And he sat in the dead middle of the square, and you couldn't even see his head. Like, the books were over his head. And he walks back, he's like, "What are you doing?" He's like, "I'm done listening to you." And he just sat here.
Dude, is this guy just like the biggest pushover ever? Because that would never fly. I don't think I've ever had a teacher where that would
This
be
was the only teacher I had that it would okay, right? Yeah. And so that happened. And that was like, oof. This is not good, right? He literally quit that next year, and he wrote like 8 students' names down and said, "I am quitting because of these kids. They were terrible."
And how old was he? I don't know if I asked this question already.
How old was he?
Yeah, was he in retiring area?
60, 65.
Okay. So he was his time.
He was on his way out.
Yeah.
Have I ever told you the story about the girl that was sleeping with our vice principal?
I heard something about this.
Okay.
I think I want you to tell it again because I don't remember all the
details.
details.
My school's full of great stories.
Oh my goodness, this was a golden one.
So I start out the day in my beautiful, beautiful class learning Spanish. Okay. And we have a very, I don't even know the words to describe it. We have a very religious, you could say just Spanish teacher in general, right? Like he, not a pushover in any way, shape, or form. He knew exactly what we were going to do every day, stuck to it to a T, right? Yeah. And he would call you out on any crap. So if a girl showed up one day with too tight of a shirt or too low cut of a shirt, hey, go to the office. Don't even want to see you here. Like he was that guy. Yeah. Just immediately. "Oh, you're late? Go to the office. Sir, I'm a minute late. Don't care. Go to the office." Like he was that guy. Wow. And he's like, no one really, like, everyone liked him because he was a nice guy, but everyone was like, this guy's kind of a douche.
Right.
Yeah.
So we had a girl who transferred in her senior year, and she was pretty, and she was more developed than others. And I'm a freshman, and you have to take 2 years of Spanish.
Yep.
And so she's a senior taking her second year of Spanish, and I'm a freshman taking my first year of Spanish, per se, right?
Right.
You're in the same class?
And we're in the same class.
Even though it's your first year?
Well, no,
Second?
technically she came in her senior year, so she didn't have any Spanish prior, so they made her take Spanish 1.
Oh, okay, that sounds good.
But if that makes sense. So she's like the only senior in our entire class, right?
Yeah.
So she would come into class every day a little late and wear a little bit too revealing of a shirt.
Okay.
And every day she would get sent to the office.
We're talking every day?
It was ritual that it was going to happen. If she showed up to school that day, she was showing
She
up
was
to first
gonna get
period
sent off.
a little late. And she was going to get sent to office because
Right.
she was going to be showing something, whether it was cleavage, her belly button, whatever it was, something was going to be seen.
Wild already.
Right, like every day. And so we never thought anything of it. We were just like, man, she really hates Spanish. She's going to fail Spanish, right? That's all we were thinking of. We're like, man, this girl hates Spanish.
Yeah.
Like, that's all it is. That's all it could be. And he was like the only one that would actually send her to the office, right?
Yeah.
And so later that year, we find out that she has been banging our vice principal.
And how does this come out? That's all.
I'll tell you the story
Okay,
how
okay.
it came out. But it came out that she was banging our vice principal in the vice principal's office all year long and never once got caught. So he resigns because he feels at fault for letting this happen because he was the one sending her to the office every day.
Oh, the teacher resigns.
Yeah. Our teacher also resigned. Well, both of them resigned. But our Spanish teacher also left for a different school
hold
because
on.
he felt
Before we continue, how old is this girl?
18.
Okay. That's all I had to ask.
I mean, she's of age.
Okay.
It's not good, but she's of age.
Oh, that's not good.
I was just
It's
trying
not-
to understand, like, is this vice principal in jail?
No.
Okay.
However, this vice principal was like, first off, he was badass. Like, he's the guy you don't want to mess with. So we had two kids fight one day,
Yeah.
and he straight up, what is a term called when you lay someone out? When you like jump in midair and you just lay someone out when they're like, you spear them or whatever.
Uh-huh.
Right?
Oh, yeah,
He
yeah.
speared, like one kid was punching the other dude, and he straight speared a kid off of him.
Yeah.
Like he was a badass, and he had like a platoon of 100 army men, and he was like the leader of them, like everything. Like that's what he would do on weekends. Like this guy was like bald, ripped, like 45-year-old, like no one would ever mess with. Well, we have a girl sleeping with him, and it's like
He's
the
Johnny Sins.
craziest thing in the entire world, right? And so he ends up quitting. Well, how it got caught was our principal. I mean, we don't have that many kids, so we all know what everyone drives, right?
Yeah.
Our principal drove by his house and saw her car out front and started to do that for a couple days to make sure it was her, caught who it was.
Oh,
However,
so-
she caught him at the end of the school year post-graduation. So technically, you couldn't prove that it happened during the year. So he didn't have to quit, but it was, you should.
It was-
So
Oh,
he didn't get
you're
in any.
quitting.
So he didn't get in
So-
any trouble. It did nothing. Like nothing happens, right,
Right,
to him
right.
because technically you can't.
No,
prove it
it's
happened.
just a remove yourself from
But
that
it was like,
situation
you need to
because
get out of
locally
So
you're
this.
gonna have
unconfirmed
issues.
that it was happening in his office during the
Yeah.
school
No,
day.
it's confirmed. It's
Oh,
been
confirmed?
confirmed
By
since,
her?
but it's
Okay.
just in general.
Okay.
It's been confirmed by other parties since then. A lot of people supposedly were somewhat aware of some weird things going
Like
on during
maybe
the
workers in
day.
the office or something
Yeah,
like that?
workers in the office, and I was an office assistant for 3 years.
Yeah.
And so like I heard the rumbles per se.
Yeah.
And so that like people were like, yeah, we always thought something weird was happening, but we just assumed that it was crying or like things like that. Like that was like the
What?
Oh, we're talking
like like the-
auditory signs. I
But
thought we were
like-
talking
no,
like,
but like-
huh, it's
no, no, no.
weird that she's here often.
No, we're talking
Yeah,
like
I thought that's what we were talking about.
Hold on, I
didn't know we were
I
talking
thought-
about.
I thought she just
what's
cries
going
every
on in
day.
there?
No. Like I don't think it was auditory signs like all the
Oh,
time, but I
oh.
would say like if you hear like one peep, you'd be like, oh, that's weird. Oh, she must be
Okay.
crying. Like you know what I'm saying?
Well,
Like just something
well,
like that.
Elbow hitting the wall.
I
or
can't
something like that. Oh,
imagine.
you're fine.
Yeah.
I can't imagine being little Nancy on her typewriter, like in the room next door. Like, what the heck is going on in there?
Isn't that crazy?
Just like a
though?
counselor or something like that next door. Yeah.
So
Oh my
that happened.
gosh.
dude, what?
Crazy, right?
I-
I also had
like,
one
that's-
teacher. I had one teacher who I had been an office assistant for 3 years. So she grabbed one of my sweatshirts one day. We were playing pranks back and forth all day. She grabbed one of my sweatshirts one day, like arm and arm, put it between her legs, and started doing like the towel rub of your gooch area.
Wait, so who did that?
One of my office old ladies.
The SpongeBob SquarePants dollar bill.
Like the underneath the legs, you know.
Why?
And she was like messing with me, and I looked at her. I was like, "What in the hell did you just do?"
Like you doing that sweatshirt?
I had never worn it again.
Oh, okay,
but I just looked at her. And I was like, "Do you know what you just did? Like, that's allowed?" Like I was dumbfounded that this happened. Oh no, I actually lied. I did something back. I grabbed her jacket that day and did the same thing. Yeah, I grabbed her cardigan and did the same thing. And I was like, now you got one too, you know? Like, but yeah, it was hilarious. That day was a funny day.
I have nothing like that. Nothing on the same level that would even compare.
I would say the only reason why I have something like that
of the sleeping with the vice principal thing, like not the jacket thing.
Oh, because I was going to say, like, I had that relationship with a lot of teachers.
Right, same.
My brother went there, my sister went there, and I went there, so they all already knew me. I was already the little kid that was running around, and I was their assistant for 3 years.
Right.
Yeah.
So they all knew who I was very well, you know what I mean? And I feel like going back looking at it, I was like an assistant for 3 periods for like 3 years.
Yeah.
Like, I helped in kindergarten every year for 3 years. I helped with, I was an office assistant for 3 years, and I helped a couple other teachers throughout the years.
Right.
I was like, huh.
This kid doing any work?
Did he go to class? Plus, I had, I still had my PE. Like I had a lot of pretty cake schedule.
We had one teacher that was like the super serious guy, and he was our, was got assigned to our class as a counselor. Like that's just kind of how it happens. Like you rotate through the classes. Yeah. Now, like at our school, it's small enough where we go like on a big trip at the end of our senior year, like with all the money that we kind of earned from our fundraisers and stuff throughout high school. So, we had him on our senior trip, and we'd always heard the rumbles. Like, outside of school, this guy's, like, just a super cool dude, but inside school, he's, like, just a total hard ass. And he was, like, doing the coolest stuff with us on this trip. Like, we were hopping fences, like, breaking into the pool, like, after it would close. And he's there with us, like, he's like, yeah, come on, helping us over the gate. Like, like we're just chilling in the hot tub at 1 o'clock in the morning when this pool closed at 9, like, just sitting there talking. Like, it was so cool, like, to like have like relationships like that with like your teachers that you're and like now I haven't seen them pretty much since then. Like it's like it was pretty cool.
That's crazy to me.
Dude,
no, like, it was like
stories are insane.
It was a thing.
Who's
yours?
Mine?
Yeah.
I mean, I gotta have more than that. I watched one kid straight drop another kid and then straight sprint. That's mine.
one thing we had a lot of. We had a lot of fights.
So we had this one kid, right?
Yeah.
His name was Logan Ivy, and Logan Ivy was a bigger guy, just a guy everyone picked on a little bit, though.
Yeah.
But he was, like, bigger and stronger. Like, he's just not a guy anyone would mess with, but you always picked on him. Like, for some reason, everyone picked on him. But not, like, bad. Just, like, really, really subtle.
Okay.
And one time, this tiny little kid, he was a little Mexican kid, kept giving him flat tires all day, right? Stepping on the back of his shoes. And it was the last period of the day. Mm-hmm. And Logan looked at him in the face and said, I'm telling you right now, you do another one of those to me, I promise you I'm going to kill you. And this kid, no, you won't, blah, blah, blah. He steps out of the library, which was right next to our office, and in the dead middle of our school. Like, I mean, dead middle of all hallways meet right here. Does it right at the end of school. He plants one step forward and unloads right in this, blood everywhere. Freaking just shattered his nose. Blood everywhere. He's bawling. And then Logan has like gotten in trouble multiple times, and he's like, "Oh shit, I'm gonna get expelled," and just straight dead sprints out of the front door and just runs off campus. Just straight books it. There's nowhere to go. He's just going.
Well, there's that day or another day.
I don't know. He just was like, maybe no one will ever see
from his
me,
life
and he
at that
just took off. Just gone. That was a funny day.
Yeah, we had fights like at different parts in the school.
All the time.
All the time, yeah. No, I mean not every day.
Right.
I'd say there's probably one a week where it was like either at lunch or like during a passing period where it's like, oh, something's going down over there.
Not saying this is bad or had anything to involve in it or anything along those lines, but your school is crazy different compared to both of ours. Not only in size, but in ethnicity, in everything. Like your schooling is so different than ours. Like I had 100 kids in my graduating class. Chad had 12.
19.
You know what I mean? Like how many kids of...
We had 7.
How many non-Caucasian kids did you have in your class?
In my class, I had 2.
Okay, so you had 17 Caucasian kids out of 19.
And what about you?
I had In our school of 400, we probably had less than 25
So we had
that were non.
in my class.
You know
we
what
had
I'm saying?
about 650, 700 just in my class. So multiply that by probably a little bit more than 4 because you're gonna have larger, lower classes. I don't know what I know. The breakup of like my hometown is predominantly white. Right after that, Latino. But at our school, I think it might have been mostly Latino.
I would assume so.
I think just maybe barely over 50%, or maybe the majority was that, and then right behind that white, and then a few others.
And I'm not saying
very diverse.
I'm not saying that had any effect
but
on
I think
that.
just
But
the
the fact
size
that
in
amount
general,
of people, I'm just saying
yeah.
your schooling was so different than mine.
Yeah, it's just
like
massive.
just as a whole, just everything about where you went to school was so different than our schools.
Right.
So like
Which
what
I didn't
we
know
saw.
at the time. You know,
Right.
I thought
Yeah.
that's how all high schools were. And my thing was like, oh, we didn't have lockers, but like I know other like when I went to college, I met people who like had lockers, and like to me that was like the biggest thing. But, like a lot of schools didn't have lockers. Like that's all I thought. How my school was different. I didn't even think about size being a thing. It's crazy how when you're in school, like you don't think about that, you know, until you like start meeting people who like have different experiences. But in my mind, like my high school is how every high school in the nation works. You know?
Right. yeah. No,
what
I know exactly how you feel. See, our school had more things. We didn't have fights. We just had like, for example, like, no, not disagreements. Yeah. We had problems that needed to be solved. Like one time, one of the kids, like, we'd always, well, not me because I just didn't do it, but like people would go like hunting before school, right? That's just what they did. They'd go like, they'd just go hunt before
he's
school.
From straight up.
Yeah.
The hickest town
Anyways.
of
I've
all
never
time.
seen this town, so I don't
So I mean,
know.
dude, like
You-
But like I don't.
We
get
would
it.
always-
you just like walk 100 yards and you're in hunting
listen.
area.
yes,
Listen.
Oh, okay.
No. Listen, if you drove there, you'd miss it.
yeah, you'll have to come out there sometime. You just never.
You would miss it. Like you
Like-
drive through and they'd be like, "Oh, that was kind of
Like Jay, we'd be. I mean, you could find any truck in the parking lot, and there's guns in the back of the truck. You know what I mean? Like people would, yeah, they're in the cab, of course, but like, you know, like people would have knives on them all the time. Like it was just what it like. I didn't even know that was a big deal. But anyways, so like, I was 1 year out of high school at this point, and so I was just like hear the stories, but like,
Yeah.
there was kind of taking a shift towards. And I bet now they can't do it, but it was kind of shifting away from being able to do that, where it was a big deal. No, you actually can't have a shotgun in the cab of your truck. I mean, like my buddy would drive to work, like we'd ride together, and he'd have his gun with just some dead ducks sitting on the cab or sitting at the bottom of the truck, and we just like I'd just put my feet like around him. Anyways, so my buddy shows up to school.
Smiled, okay.
My buddy showed up to school and he has shotgun shells in his pocket and just forgot about them. He didn't know they were there.
Yeah.
He was like leaning over the desk and like the principal was in the room, and if one of these shotgun shells falls out, and he was like, you know, just kind of stops the
Is
class.
that bad news?
At this point in time, it was.
Okay.
But prior,
You're a year removed. You
yeah,
said that right.
prior, no, it's not even a big deal at all. It's
Okay.
like
It's like dropping
oh,
a
did you,
razor.
you catch anything this morning? You know, it's like that type of thing.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like dropping an eraser. Anyways, so he like pulls him into his office and he's like, I better not go into your truck and, you know, find a gun in there or else you're going to be expelled for the year. Tells him this. Well, on his way sneaking out of the room, he slips his buddy his keys.
Nice.
And we have like two parking lots right next to each other. One's considered off campus, the other's considered on campus.
Yeah. And he was on.
He was on campus, gun in the truck, and he just on a whim, hoping his buddy catches the message to go move his truck to the other parking lot.
Yeah.
And he does. He moves it for him, and the principal walks out there, knows damn well his truck has guns in it. You know, he just has to do it.
Just finding it. Yeah.
And it's on the other parking lot, and he's just like, okay. And I turns around and like he's good. But I mean, he would have been like he had to have been expelled. Like it's just like at that point in time, you had to have been like. And like that's the kind of stuff. For sure.
Dude.
That's the kind of stuff that happens.
Did I miss something? Was there? You said the year before it would have been fine.
There was like there was a kind
Was
of
there
a hard
state thing that happened?
I don't know if it
was
was
it
a
the
state-
time that Thurston got shot up or whatever?
No,
or?
it might have been like a Sandy Hook thing or maybe even like
That-
whatever.
that's
Maybe
why
it
I
was
was
UC. It could have been UCC. Might have been UCC actually.
That's why I was curious because I was like, man,
it was
what
like
would have
some
happened?
event that just it's
It
now
wasn't
was just-
UCC.
It might have been UCC.
No,
honestly.
because UCC we were in college.
I know, but I was out of high school. I was 1 year
You
removed
guys
from
were
high school.
freshmen in college.
It would have been 2 years out of high school.
Okay, it was sometime around that point though.
But that's all I'm saying because I remember because Danielle's grade, there were people in college.
Okay,
So it would have been at least 2 years removed.
gotcha. But yeah, it was like I mean, even when I was like in middle school, like guys literally would have blood all over them from like
whatever they
packing out an elk that morning or whatever. Show up to school or like, anything like that. I mean, It's just how it was. I mean,
so crazy to me.
yeah.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, I mean,
So-
dude, like 9-inch knives in their pocket that they'd use to like, cut the skin off of a bear or something, just like chilling in their pockets, and we're sitting in school.
You want to know what the one weird thing that was super fun for everyone to do?
Yeah.
It was my freshman and sophomore year. I had older relatives that were in school, and we would have this group of about 7 to 10 people play catch with the football out front.
Nice.
They weren't the ones that played football.
Oh, so it was fun to watch.
Fun to watch, but it was also
I got a great one.
I don't know. We're just kind of like, if you look back at it, we were kind of just absolute assholes for it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But like, we would like not sit there like, I didn't necessarily make fun of them, but they were like laughing at me because some of them were my relatives. But like, they would be out there, and my relative was like the one athletic one out there.
Yeah.
So he was like taking it way too seriously, like going up over guys, catching balls in the concrete.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And they'd be like, "Oh, your cousin's more athletic than you go." You know, like, give me like those hard times, right? And it was like that, and that was like some weirdly fun thing that we would do every single
Is
day.
watch these
Like,
kids.
it was no matter what, on lunch, after we're done eating lunch, we're going to be out front of the school, sitting right here with popcorn in our hand. Not really, but you know what I mean? And we're going to just watch these kids bombs away.
There was definitely like those like lunch type, just clicky activities where like these kids are gonna be here, these kids are gonna be here.
Yeah.
But why? Why was that fun? Why was
I
it
don't
fun making the kids fun of these kids just who want to throw a football around? Like, looking back at it, just, we're all douchebags for that. They just wanted to throw a football around.
Speaking of football games at schools, I know we're all familiar with the game where one kid has the ball.
Smear the queer. That's how I got my concussion.
No, that's all. Okay, that's what I was going to talking about. But I'm saying, what is that game called now? Do you think?
Smear the queer.
You think so?
Oh, we had this discussion at one point.
Did we?
I can't remember. I think it was you that brought that up.
Is it called? I mean, like,
I never played that game.
What?
Okay.
So what is it? It's like some guy has a ball.
It's
and
the
he
stupidest
tails,
game in the world.
The
or
best
you
way
just
to
have tackle the guy with the ball
time out. The best way to describe
yep.
it is going to be based off my story. First and foremost, you've never seen like Friday Night Lights. They play it in that. Like when it gets like muddy out, it's fun to play. It's like, one kid who has the football, whoever has the football is.
It's like the longest
everyone
yard
gets to
scene.
tackle.
We had a version
Yeah,
of
like
that
longest
in
yard
football.
scene. There you go.
But like with pads and everything, so like it was a football related drill.
Yeah,
we
yeah,
never
this-
like played this.
No, this was recess related drill.
So we also saw
no
this.
way.
So we would always play it outside of the high school football games. So I was a kid.
Oh yeah, you told me.
I was a kid, and I honestly don't remember anything about the day. I can only tell a story based on what other people told me. Supposedly there's a kid who I had just showed up, like literally 2 minutes in. I had walked over to my buddy who was not playing. We were sitting there watching them. Whew. And some kid gets the ball who supposedly I did not like at all, right? And I look at my buddy and I go, I'm going to go lay that kid the fuck out.
Yeah.
And he goes, go ahead. And I guess I just dead sprint over there in my pants and shirt, and I suplex him over my shoulder. And as I throw him onto concrete. And when I do that, I hit my head like that on concrete.
Yeah.
And I guess I just get up and I have some tears in my eyes. I'm not crying, I just have tears in my eyes. And I go, hey, Nick, I need you to call my mom. And he's like, what do you mean? I was like, hey, I need you to call my mom.
Just give me a solid. Come on, Mom.
Hey, will you call my mom? And I just kept saying,
Call my
over again.
dentist.
and that's all I kept saying. I was just, hey, will you call my mom? Call my mom. And then finally he's like, yeah, dude, here's my phone or whatever, because I have my own phone. Like, I don't know why I'm asking him for it. But I ended up calling, right?
Yeah.
And I call, and I'm like, hey, Mom, when are you coming to get me? She goes, I'm not even home. I just dropped you off. And I like act like I didn't even
Oh,
hear
it's
it.
that quick.
Yeah, I don't even act like I hear it. I was like, hey, Mom, when are you coming to get me? And she goes, hon, what? And I'm like, hey, Mom, when are you coming to get me? Just over and over like a robot.
I can imagine.
And she like hangs up on me, calls my sister. What I didn't know until like 2 years ago is my sister's supposed to be watching me at the game.
Right.
Well, my sister was at her boyfriend's house, who was out of high school.
I love that
And she was there.
The whole
And this
time.
was like 20 minutes like far away. So like this isn't close.
Oh,
And so my mom's like, I need you to take Connor home right now. And she's like, Mom, I'm not at the game. She like comes up with one off the whim of like watching another, like, I had this after school, like I had to go. I told Connor, that I'd be there at this time, and I'm concussed. I can't attest to this not happening. You know what I mean? Like it was foolproof, and she didn't know.
Yeah.
Well, my sister thought she was gonna die because she thought I like got really, really hurt, and then she wasn't there to help me.
Right.
And so she's panicking, thinking that she's gonna just get murdered and gonna get caught and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
Well, my mom comes and picks me up, and I just get in the car, and I'm like, And like I call her again. Like that call happened like 4 times. I mean, just calling her, asking her when are you gonna come in. Yeah. I get in the car. I'm just normal. Just sitting in the front. She's like, "Are you okay?" I was like, "When are we gonna go home?"
You're just dazed.
When are we gonna go home? I get home, sit on the couch, and my mom lets me fall asleep. And back then, I don't know if you guys remember. Well, now that's unproven. It's proven now that doesn't matter.
Oh, really?
Yeah. But back then, it was like you didn't let that happen. Well, my mom let me go to sleep. And I remember everyone like giving me a hard time about it the next day, but like I just don't remember that day. But now it came out that you're allowed to go to sleep after a concussion.
No
that doesn't matter. Oh, okay. They used to say that it was scary because you want to make sure your brain's fully functional and blah blah blah. That way your brain doesn't
going to cause like permanent damage.
Yeah, it could cause permanent damage. Blah. That's completely false, is what they came out with.
So that wasn't a great descriptor of what the game was.
The game is just whoever has the ball, everyone tries to tackle that person.
Yep. No, that's it. And then like once that kid gets pummeled, the
ball goes up in the air,
and then now you're
some other kid. But it's not like an avoidance of being pummeled game. It's like if the ball comes your way, you run around until somebody tackles you.
Right, sure.
Unless you're the absolute biggest bitch and you just throw the ball.
Right.
Which did happen. There was the bitches who would just be like, "Oh, I'm not gonna get hit," and throw the ball back up in the air. But yeah, that was the dumbest game we played. That was always a blast.
I feel like there was just like, I hope it was like this for you too, Jay. Because for us, it was like, we played basketball for a long time.
Yeah.
Then we played soccer for a long time. Then we played foursquare. Then we played tetherball. Then we played, it's like
and
just
what do you mean for a long time? Like
we'd just go through these runs. We'd go through these runs of with all your friends.
I can name my runs for you.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Ours was the same. Yeah.
Ready? So, kindergarten, we had one of two things. You just play on the play structures.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Swings on the whatever. Just all of our play structures.
Yeah.
2, we used to race. I was the fastest kid at school at the time.
Unconfirmed.
I was for sure the fastest kid at school.
Unconfirmed. Continue.
But those were the 2 things we would do for an entire year, right?
Yeah.
First grade, kind of the same thing, except we would add the evolution of maybe a little bit of soccer, a little bit of kickball. You know what I mean? But it was still those same 2.
Yeah.
And then second grade, we definitely developed more into that soccer / starting to throw the football around.
Right.
Third grade, it was football, only football. That's all we do. That's what everyone does every time, right? Yeah. Like, that's all you do. Fourth grade, got heavily into some tetherball. Well, sorry, actually, fourth grade, we started out getting into dodgeball.
Nice.
Got that taken away for like a month or something.
That gets shut down quick.
Then we go to tetherball, play tetherball.
It gets too violent.
Yeah, and then we got dodgeball back, got that booted again, so we finished on tetherball.
Yeah.
And then my 5th grade year, it was kickball every recess. And it was pretty cool because our 5th grade year, kickball was like, we had like this big cement pad that was like perfectly aligned, like down the line and down the line, and then it was just open. And there was kids playing basketball deep, and then there was like a fencing all the way around. And so your goal is to either hit people on the play structure in left field, hit kids playing basketball, or go bomb squad somewhere. And so like it was just straight like, who can we pelt? You know what I mean? Like that's all the game was like. I just want to hit someone. And in 5th grade, so like that's what we did every time. But dodgeball was bad because like I hit a teacher in the face on purpose because everyone tried to talk to me into it.
Yeah.
We almost like broke windows. Like it was bad news.
Ours was different in terms of it wasn't necessarily sectioned off by grade, but I also switched schools a few times, like in my elementary school times. So in kindergarten, I was at one school, and the way it always broke down was there was like morning, like you would always get there before school actually started, and then there was like a sport that you play in the morning, and then there was also what you would do at the recess. So in kindergarten, it was what we would normally do is just like run around on the grass, like and play structures like right outside the thing, and then we'd get called in, right?
I missed something.
What?
We also had rainy day recess, which we all had, where you could pick the gym or outdoor
and you get
covered
to go
play
inside.
structure. And outdoor, it was always basketball or foursquare.
Yeah, that's money. And then in 1st grade, 2nd grade, 3rd grade, that's when we started 1 racing, but 2 mainly. Did you guys ever play kickback instead of kickball? Very similar in terms of like what you're doing, but what you would do is like we had this like blacktop where from one end to the other it was about 3 basketball court lengths, so pretty long, right?
Okay.
And what you do is you would however many people were playing, could be 20, could be 50, doesn't matter how many kids there were there, but you would split them in half. You'd be there on one side or the other side, and you have about like 10 dodgeballs.
Okay, first of all, just on sheer number of children, our schools are not playing this game.
It's not going to be the same thing. Also, we're talking about obviously elementary schools. It's all the grades, so like you're not necessarily like sectioning off like just your grade.
You had recess with every kid?
No, this is the before school one.
This is what I'm saying.
Oh,
This is what it's 7:45. School starts at 8. This is what you're doing. There's stuff for you to do just out. Like they give you dodgeball and stuff like jump rope, all this kind of stuff. Obviously you have stuff to do, right? So it's before school, so it's always cold. And yes, you split it up. You can have like 20 people on one side, 20 people on the other side, and you're just kicking dodgeballs back and forth like over the course of like 3 basketball courts, right? So it's just super long, and it was very similar to like dodgeball or kickball, where like you would get out if someone caught your ball. So you basically they just take turns, just drop kicking balls straight up to the other side of the thing, and if someone caught, you're out. And if no one caught it, then you weren't out, and then it would be the same thing like dodgeball. You won if you were last one standing. But that was so fun because it was always like who could kick the highest, right?
Right.
We also played wall ball a lot. I don't know if you guys did that.
Ooh, we had a little bit of
Like
wall
those bouncy balls,
ball
yeah.
days.
Then that was one of those ones that got taken away, and you got in trouble if you ever brought your own wall ball because there was too much like pelting. It just turned into like a pelt fest.
Yeah.
The teacher said no to that. And then I would say it was around 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th. That's when it was like strictly soccer, kickball, and basketball, like football, just depending on the time of year.
Right.
But we never really played dodgeball. That was actually never something that was like an organized sport. We also had recess and then PE as well. I don't know if you guys had that.
We had PE.
It's like in the 3rd through 6th grade years, you were outside playing 3 different times. One before
Which
school.
is probably good.
Yeah.
Right.
One in the middle of school. Like during your right after lunch, you also have like another 30 minutes for like recess, right?
Wow.
And also
And that was every day?
Yeah, and that was every day. And then also PE, like towards the end of school, like about an hour and a half before school was going to end, you had what you were called PE, and that got introduced when you were in 5th and 6th grade. Your teacher would then go out, and just your class would stay with each other.
Oh, we had it even sooner. We had it even younger.
Oh, really?
That explains so much about you.
About me?
No, about Jay.
Oh, why?
For 5 years of your life, you spent too much time focusing outside and not in the classroom. And that explains your...
How good was
your
parachute day for
Parachute
PE?
day?
Yeah, yeah. You know what I'm talking about?
Are you talking like rally day?
No, I'm talking about like when
Or is that what it's
where they had like the
Parachute
big, huge, like big parachute thing. And you play all
And
the,
you start bouncing it?
or like you play like the little game where everybody like you
Goes under it and
yeah,
stuff.
yeah, yeah. Or, you'd sit and you have your legs inside.
Did you guys ever... Yeah, I know what you're talking about.
What the hell is that?
Okay,
Big
there's
old
just this giant, like vinyl...
Was it called the parachute?
I don't know. If
We never did this.
it's like the size of a hot air balloon.
Just tell you,
Yeah.
we never did
In
this.
terms of like diameter. If you were to shrink down and like flatten a hot air
We
balloon.
never did this. That's all I'm saying.
It's just this circus colored,
Right.
thing, and everybody just holds it. Similar to like how 50 people hold an American flag at a baseball game or something like that before. You're all holding it like that, and then you just start like doing this.
Yeah.
You put beach balls on top.
Right.
And then
We
never had
and then,
this.
Like, the kids take turns
Well,
like, running under
that explains a lot about you, actually, since you never had it.
Enjoy.
Yeah, I didn't have to do these silly activities.
It
I
wasn't.
actually was
I'm
athletic.
going to be honest. It wasn't that fun, and I think I only did it like 3 times in my life. I really don't like. I can't even remember why it
Telephone
was
was a
thing.
boss game.
Telephone.
For PE?
No, just in general.
Did you guys have field day? Did you guys have,
Yeah.
where it was like competitions?
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And like just like you're talking like old school things where it's like
100%.
See,
three-legged
and again, it's like,
race.
do they have that now? Or is it
I
like,
don't know. I hope.
They better. That was a great
but does
game.
everybody win?
Those were such. Oh, well, I mean, yeah, there should be winners.
No, I'm saying, does everybody win?
Ever.
Oh,
And the participation trophy goes to every one of you. You guys were so great today.
we used to compete on like a class basis because it was like the entire school. We also had tracks.
So we did
when were in
class
elementary.
basis, and then we would let the top person in each class go up against
Represent.
all other classes.
Like a top got picked from everyone, then those people go head to head. That's sick.
And then it would be like the top dog in that one
Nice.
thing, you know?
Nice. We had like water balloon stuff too because it was always during like.
Yep. Oh, yeah.
And it's like,
of course.
yeah, it was
during
always like one
summer.
of the
It was
last
at
couple
end of the
days.
year. Yep,
So
yep.
Yeah.
your guys' school structure when you were in elementary school is you guys had summer off, right?
Yeah.
So I think I've told this to you before. Our school was so big, or even our elementary schools, that we had different tracks of school. So you were either on blue, green, red, or yellow track. I want to say. I think those were the 4.
And you'd have a different.
Yeah. So blue
break.
track, which was the track I was on, which also turned into this like other track, but it's called blue track or gate, whatever. And you were always just the standard
Summer off.
track. Yeah, summer off, right? School August through May, whatever the thing is when you're a kid.
Right.
But I don't know what the actual windows of time were for the other 3, but there were some. I think I want to say like green track was one of those ones where like they had November through February off, and then they went to school through summer.
That would
So like,
suck.
think about it as a kid. And
That would
then
suck.
Think about like if you're a kid on the green track, and then when you go into middle school / high school, like how weird is that for you? Because then all of a sudden it flips. Like now all of a sudden you're not in school in the summer and stuff like that.
Yeah, like, all
I
your-
couldn't imagine
all
how
your
weird that
plans.
would be.
That's so weird.
Like when you're a kid, you associate summer with like, oh, I'm home and now I get to do whatever I want,
Right.
You know, instead of being at school.
Does summer still carry that same feeling for you right now?
No,
For me, no.
I don't even know what month it is.
I know.
Like I
It's
don't
like-
care.
I'm not gonna lie, my summer right now feels a little bit like that because like during the wintertime I was so busy. During the summertime I kind of just have more time off. It kind of feels a little more like summer vacation-y. More
Right.
so like college summer vacation-y because
Yeah.
you know, you're still working.
You're still doing stuff.
Right, but like you just have like more freedom
pressure's
feeling.
off,
Yeah, yeah.
you're not in class,
Like it feels
stuff like
the exact same way as a summer college vacation.
Summer college vacation.
A summer college vacation.
I kind of miss that feeling though.